Hi, Sandrine.
Hi, Jim.
Sandrine de Worst. So I understand you're on the executive committee of Raiffeisen, correct?
Correct.
What's normally within your scope?
So I'm in charge of retail, private, and corporate banking.
Pretty big scope.
Commercial scope.
Commercial scope. Now, this is not completely new territory. You've done this before for another bank in Luxembourg.
Yes, indeed.
So you were with ING. How was your time there?
Well, I had a very good time.
Did you manage to leave before their crisis?
Yes, I left before the crisis.
So it wasn't you sending the SMS messages telling everyone that their accounts were closed?
What a question.
So, big change, I imagine. ING Bank is totally different from Raiffeisen. What's been the biggest surprise for you moving to like more of a cooperative model?
Well, it's indeed very different in terms of working for a stock-listed company or working for a cooperative company. It's different in the views, in the objectives that the company has. So I would say what Raiffeisen has, it's a much longer-term view, very human company, putting the client very much in the middle, and yeah, human again.
Now, seated on your right-hand side, Mr. Loic Lefol. Good evening, Loic.
Good evening, Jim.
Now, Loic, you're the CEO of AG Desert, which is very well known for the Tour de France, aren't you?
Absolutely, but I mean, I don't know if you're aware of that. I mean, we stopped actually, the sponsoring just a few months ago.
Why? Why did you stop?
I mean, various reasons, but I mean, we've been sponsoring, this, top cycling team for almost, 30 years, and now, we're looking, to sponsor all the sports. So you get to see that probably in the coming months.
Now, you've got a business in Luxembourg, business in France. Let's start with the French business. What are you doing in France?
I mean, in France, our company, AG Desert Mondiale, is one of the biggest insurance company in France. I mean, we've got a little bit more than 15 million clients in France. So that's like one French person out of 4 is one of our clients. I mean, mostly on retail. And we've got also a very big wealth insurance business in France and in Luxembourg. And that's what I'm looking after. I mean, those two businesses, France and Luxembourg.
Wealth insurance, it's a very relevant, topical subject. I mean, French politics is somewhat unsteady. I've read reports that French wealth is coming to Luxembourg. Is that true?
I mean, it is true. I mean, being a French person, I mean, I cannot, it's difficult to say that because it's dramatic, what we see in France, but it's true that at the moment, I would be lying if I was saying the contrary, but yes, we see at the moment a flow of business, flow of cash. I mean, in the insurance industry, but also in the private bank industry, coming from France to Luxembourg.
Do we see any French high net wealth individuals coming to Luxembourg as well?
I think there may be some, but I think the relocation, the physical relocation, is probably the next step. The election in France, will be in 2027, and very likely we will see again some a stronger move of flows, in 26 and then to 27. But then, yes, there will be probably people relocating to Luxembourg.
Fantastic. And seated on your right-hand side, Mr. Dennis Harty, who is the head of Continental Europe for Waystone. Good evening, Dennis.
Evening, Jim.
Where are you from, Dennis?
I'm Irish, Jim.
You're Irish.
But I'm in Luxembourg 25 years, so I'm here longer than I was there.
Now, Waystone is also quite a big business. Approximately how many assets under management do you have?
So globally, we're north of 450 billion in assets under management. So that's obviously split across all of our entities, with 1,800 people globally. The largest of the footprint is in Ireland and the UK, and then Luxembourg is third on the list in terms of footprint. We're managing in excess of 70 billion here in Luxembourg at the moment.
Now, I'll tell you one thing, an interesting thing about your Irish operation is that I read on your website that you're the biggest third-party manco in Ireland.
Biggest in Ireland.
I also read that on the Cairn website. They also claim that they're the biggest third-party manco. Who is actually bigger?
I mean, Cairn can make some typos from time to time. I don't judge them for that. No, look, I think it's a very healthy ecosystem. Cairn and Waystone are you know, I said, very competitive, but in a very open and good spirit. And there's the number of Cairn people here tonight, Waystone, we bring the best out in each other, I think, is the experience of working with and against Cairn.
Happily, there's some brotherly love in the investment fund servicing sector. Sandrine, can I come back to you? We're talking about the future of finance. Digitalization is a big thing. Raiffeisen still has a lot of branches. Does that mean you're not digitalizing?
Well, we favor a hybrid model where you have digitization for basic convenience, what clients are expecting, but we value human advisory for more complex products or problem solving, and complex products like mortgages or even wealth planning, which is still very difficult to digitize.
Can you give me a couple of examples of things that you have digitized?
Well, of course, you can see it from two ways, from internal, so about operational efficiencies. So you have straight-through processing, you have payments, and so forth. And then, of course, you have the whole front end for our clients, where there also you have a lot which had been digitized. A lot of self-service. You're not going to a branch for a payment, for example, I suppose.
Absolutely. Loic, if you're working with 1 in 4 residents of France, don't tell me that they're making a phone call to buy an insurance product. Is it all digital?
I'd like, to tell you yes. I mean, insurance business is probably one of the most administrative and paper-driven, business. So we made good progress in the last few years, especially since 2020, since the COVID. So we're getting there. Today, I think I'm quite proud to say that about 40-50% of our new subscription are being done digitally. But there's still a long way to go. And I think as well, what we sometimes tend to forget is not just having the system, it's also, the clients. I mean, you've got some clients that are still, they still like, the paper, they still like, to sign manually a subscription.
No, but we've got to be like Ryanair. If that's not digital, they can't be a client.
True. But I think, that's not that's not what we believe in. I mean, we want to be, the insurer for everybody. And at least for, I would say, probably, the next, 10, 20 years, we'll have to live probably with a sort of a hybrid model where we've got, digital, and clearly it's growing at a much faster pace than we were actually imagining. But there's still, people driven by paper, and we've got to accommodate for that.
Very good. Dennis, I imagine in the regulatory business, once again, compliance traditionally is very paper heavy.
It is.
Sorry, does this make it ripe for digital transformation?
I think there's been a bit like the same example that we was talking about. There's an adoption curve, right? And you're going to have people and processes and firms that move at faster and different paces. I would say that there's been an enormous amount of digitalization in all of our industries. I'm here in Luxembourg 25 years. It is unimaginable that we could do what we can do now and the speed we do it at, the volumes we do, the price we charge for it. Everything is better, right? So we give ourselves a hard time in terms of, we're not moving fast enough. The whole industry beats itself up that we're not the same as your phone, right? There's this cognitive dissonance between the digital experience you have on your mobile phone versus what you experience at work. But, your phone isn't a regulated industry that needs to move at that particular speed. We've invested heavily. I think probably everybody in the room has invested heavily over the last number of years. But I would say...
So are you satisfied with the amount of digital progress Waystone has made?
Yes, yeah, I am. Am I satisfied that we are finished the journey? No, I mean, and we've got an exceptional roadmap for that. But am I happy with where we are today? 100%. And I would say that, digitalization is, what it probably does do is it allows the bigger firms with bigger budgets who can invest in their strategic tech it doesn't always help the smaller new market entrants that were mentioned earlier, because the burden and the cost associated with that tech is extensive. So you need to make significant investments in the people, in the tech, and it's not a one-off investment. Once you've bought tech, you don't walk away from it year 2. You've got to
stuck
continue
with
to
it.
invest in it.
You've got to keep paying more and more.
Well, you got to make sure that it's valuable return on investment, right? So it's each investment needs to make sense, and you need to reevaluate that on an ongoing basis.
Okay, Loic, I'm going to come back to you on the distribution of your insurance products. How is digitalization changing that part of your business?
I mean, digitalization has helped us a lot to distribute in new countries. I mean, you've got to imagine, I mean, just a few years ago, just to create a new product, we needed, to have it translated. I mean, just, for the marketing documentation, it was very heavy to produce, very costly also. I mean, today, I mean, we can do that. I mean, like, probably all the other, banks knows, but very quickly. And not only that, that's, in terms of the tools. And then in terms of subscription, as I said before, we've got now the tools to enable clients to do digital subscription. So clearly, in the last few years, it has helped us to grow tremendously. And I mean, as Dennis said, I mean, for us, it's an ongoing journey, but we hope, the digitalization will help us to grow even further.
I mean, Sanjay, coming back to Raiffeisen, what is your motivation when it comes to digitalization? Is it that you want the bank to make more money? Do you want to do more with less people? Or is it just fear of missing out?
No, I think it's, again, it's for client satisfaction first. We have to go there where our clients want us to go, and we want them to choose the channel they prefer for the product, the questions that they want to ask us, and so that's certainly the first point. And the second point is about efficiency gains. So Dennis spoke about bigger companies. We are a small, local, totally independent bank. So we have to be creative sometimes to find solutions, to be efficient, and to follow also where clients want us to go.
It's my mum on the phone. Just don't worry about that.
You're doing great, Jim.
Thank you. Just talking about banks, Claude Marx recently said, a profitable bank is a safe bank. Is Raiffeisen profitable enough?
Yes, for sure. I answered your question.
But you
and I think also it is a safe bank because we have this human advisory, which is also something which gives trust to clients. Whenever you have a problem, there is somebody that you can call, and you spoke about Ryanair just a minute ago. What if something happens with your flight with Ryanair? Are you satisfied with how they help you?
No.
That's what we want to avoid.
Look, can we talk about AI for a second? In what ways have you thought about adding AI to your business?
I mean, we're part of those companies where we've got our own AI model, our own, LLM model, so which is a sort of best of breed using a mix of ChatGPT, Mistral, and others. And we started implementing it in 2024. Today it's still very early stage. Like a lot of companies, we're doing use cases. But what we do is that we've asked absolutely all our employees to start using AI since, the 1st of January. And so not just, the operation people, because very often we tend to think, okay, AI is just, to make things, more efficient, faster in operation. But I've got here, some colleagues. I mean, we're looking at AI in HR, AI in product development, AI in sales. And the results are quite interesting. But sometimes you can find some incremental advantage. But I would say I'm looking, for the big, multiple factor. And we believe that AI will help us with the same amount of people to produce 2 or 3 times, what we do today.
What, double the size of the business?
Yes.
How are you going to do that?
Well, as I said earlier, by targeting, more clients. So we're looking at addressing new segments of clients, not just, the high net worth, ultra high net worth, but I don't know. I mean, you've got, the mass affluent, upper affluent, etc. And we wouldn't have been able to do that without, the digitalization, we're looking at opening, new markets, which until now as well, were very difficult to address. So that's why it's ambitious, and we are ambitious, but we think, it's feasible.
Dennis, you've got competition. This gentleman wants to double his assets under management with AI. What's your objective?
There's this famous line about the 4 most expensive words in history being "this time it's different," but I actually think this time it is different. I think AI, we've seen waves of sort of tech. A couple of years ago, there was, we've gone through different iterations of tech noise and PR machines. The AI revolution is very different to that, and it's very, very real. And I think everybody in the room is very much aware of that and engaged with it. I don't often get a chance to disagree with the Vice Chancellor, but I probably will disagree with one of the comments at the opening, which is that it's only coming for sort of process jobs and standard repeatable activity. I don't see that that's the case at all. I think it's coming for everything, to be perfectly honest. I don't know how fast that adoption is going to be, because ultimately people are the friction in that whole model, right? So the adoption is going to be dependent again, and you'll have that curve of adoption. It's going to be very different. But AI is going to transform in the next 5 years. It's already massively changed. If I look at our business, there's huge number of use cases where we've deployed it. But I'll just give one simple example, which is our board reporting tool has an AI module in it, which allows the director to basically click a button and say, give me 30 intelligent questions to ask about during the board meeting, right? So
So you are enabling independent directors to do even less work than they do already?
I said we have a module. I didn't say we turned it on, but it is available, and it's just an example of something that's coming down the line where the level of the conversation, even the level of governance, to be honest, changes dramatically. If you can get past all the arguments about page numbers or some other nonsense, and you actually get to ask fundamental and important questions during boards. That's just one small example,
sure.
But it's happening across every element of every process that we're implementing it, or have live in Waystone, and it's just transforming the whole business.
Sure. I mean, Sandrina, are you using AI to scan through big documents to evaluate what the summary is?
We start to do that, and but what we are certainly doing, it's also using it in KYC, KYT, monitoring transactions, and this type of security checks, behavioral analysis in security checks. These are also use cases where we use AI, yes.
And it's working?
Yes, of course it is working.
But doesn't AI make mistakes?
I don't have statistics on that, but I can have statistics on manual mistakes. So we have to see what the difference is between both, and if the AI system is sufficiently trained, I think it's fine.
What's your view about error reporting with AI when compared with humans?
What, sorry?
Compared with human, who makes more mistakes, humans or AI?
I would say, from our experience, probably, human, because, from what, we've implemented, we only implemented AI when we are sure, the sort of level of mistakes are very, very low. And as Sandrine said as well, we use it a lot to do due diligence on funds, where it was taking us a lot of manual work, before. And now, in a few seconds, you get, the answer. You don't take more risk. And actually, you allow, your best people to do more value-added tasks.
Fantastic. Dennis, one of the challenges of this is that if AI really is going to change everything, that means that you need to go forward and just employ tech people rather than typical fund administrators, no?
No, I wouldn't go that far, right? I think what you will see is a development of the skills, right? So there's an evolution of what's happening in terms of the profile of staff that are needed to run all of our businesses, right, as we go forward. And you will see this sort of hybridization of roles, right, where somebody has an exceptional governance skill set, whether that's in risk management or delegate oversight or whatever the different activity, and then they're marrying that with a deep knowledge of AI, the solutions, and the weird thing is that when you give people the tools, what you find is that some of them use them 100% and beyond what you would anticipate, and then other people. So people are the delay in the adoption curve there. But I think in terms of the skill set and what we expect in the evolution of staff, I think there will be less of the manual. There will be less of the maybe boxed in roles where they're specific to one activity, and you're going to see people being able to branch across different roles and become problem solvers. But they need skills in probably more than one area now. So I do think you don't need to be a coder, but you need to be familiar with how to use the models and how to use the AI tools that are available.
Sure.
And I think it increases your effectiveness.
Sure. I mean, Sandrine, what kind of profiles are you recruiting at the moment?
Well, concerning AI, I think everybody in the whole organization should know and be very literate about AI, its limitations, what it can do, what it cannot do, because of course we have very strict rules about that as well. So first of all, it's the whole organization who should be trained in using these tools. And then secondly, yes, indeed, there will be some new profiles. On our side, we will have a specific innovation department which will handle all these things as well. And so there will be some specific dedicated profiles who will enter the bank to look into all these tools.
Is the bank growing? Are you recruiting people?
Yes, we are recruiting quite a number of people.
Because I heard that you received a lot of CVs from ING people.
Not only from ING.
Really? I guess your old colleagues, they knew you, didn't they? So they thought, oh, okay, let's give Sandrine a call. Right, I'll move on, Sandrine, don't worry. Right, guys, we're going to talk a big picture for a second. So, Loic, some people criticize Europe for being over-regulated. Number one, do you agree? Number two, what do we do about it?
I mean, that's a nice question. I mean, in our business, the financial industry, you need to be regulated. We all know that, and I think we're lucky as well, in Luxembourg, to have regulators that are quite close to the business. Now, having said that, I think in the past few years we are seeing over-regulation, especially driven by the EU Commission on a various level, and over-regulation can actually hamper our businesses, because suddenly you focus almost solely on answering all those reporting instead of doing your business. So on top of the additional costs, which is a problem, we see that I think every day in Luxembourg, and I think a lot of people in the room are looking to try to maintain their margin. So this over-regulation becomes a burden, and suddenly you stop as well to innovate. So I think, yes, we are facing a problem at the moment, and it's regulation in general. It could be about, AML. At the moment, there's everything around, the IA Act, etc. And thank God as well, I think, some of the people are listening, and we are seeing some simplification.
Dennis, is your business over-regulated?
I wouldn't have a business if there was no regulation. So, no, it's perfectly regulated at the moment. Fundamentally, regulation is always just a question of balance, right, in terms of whether it adds the value that it's supposed to or not, and why is the regulation there, right? Fundamentally, most of the regulations in our world are with a view to investor protection, and I think the debate is always, are they effective in actually...
NVIDIA did drop 6%. Those investors weren't protected, were they? That was today.
Well, invest for the long term is my advice on that, Jim, rather than day trading. But in terms of whether we're over-regulated at a macro sense across Europe, I defer to, I don't know if you remember, there was a person called Kerry Packer who was an Australian businessman, and his view on it was that he had no problem complying with any regulation. He just wanted one rule implemented, which was if a regulator or a country implements a new law, for example, they have to remove at least one of the old ones. Our rule books are getting too big, for sure. We need to find a way that they don't grow any more than they already are. And I think too many politicians and to some extent regulators find that they think that they have to pass a law or pass a rule, right? And maybe they should also be sort of, one of the KPIs should be how many you remove from the rule book, not just how many you added to the rule book to make things more complicated.
Sandrine, do you agree? Is it about what we can remove from the rule book?
Well, just for a stat, between 2019 and 2024, the EU, there were more than 13,000 legislative acts, whereas in the US, on federal level, there were 3,500. So it's quite an enormous gap. And when we see the global AI startup flows, and we see that only 6% is going to Europe, whereas more than 60% is going to the States, we can ask ourselves a lot of questions. So there is a lot of complexity in the legislations here in Europe. So I think that now they have heard and they know the situation. So there are some simplification measures which are being taken with the omnibus changes that are going on and which are starting to come. But simplification should be a word, and we need to have a speed of change and implementation of this regulation, which can be handled by the European companies in general.
So perhaps would you like to see Luxembourg policymakers take a stronger stance on this topic?
Well, because we have these EU legislations, and then you have to implement it also in the local laws, so which is also something different. And that is also something where on European level, there could be more harmonization, because even for bigger structures, bigger banks, like for example ING, they have to cope with all these different local regulations, which is, it's just a dense web of European and local rules, which are hard, well, which is the cause of lagging into all these innovative tools.
But Loic, if I was to gently challenge you on this issue, aren't businesses like yours making money by Europe not being harmonized, by the fact that France and Luxembourg have got different regimes?
I mean, do you mean like tax regime? Or?
For example?
No, I mean, honestly, I mean, that's not, I mean, I don't see that really as a problem, and I don't think, we'll have, any tax harmonization in the coming years. But as Sandrine, was mentioning, I think if we were getting, I think, for us to simplify, the business would be more in terms of the regulation, not in terms of, let's say, tax harmonization or these kind of things.
So are there any, in your compliance role,
Yes.
Are there any particular regulations that you think are completely pointless that we should just get rid of?
I wouldn't say, completely pointless, because as I said earlier, regulation is important, but at the moment, you see so many things supposedly to let's say, to inform, the clients. I mean, have you seen when you open a bank account, when you open an insurance contract, you're going to have like dozens of pages in small characters, and it's driven, by SFDR, by value for money, etc. I don't think, actually, any of our clients have got the time to read that, and it's usually so complicated. So you see, a lot of that, I think, could be probably, simplified, in the future. And we see, I mean, some new entrants in the financial industry that are, I would say, very successful, and that are using, much simpler process. So that's something as well we look at the moment.
I mean, you raise an interesting point there. I don't know, Sandrine, is it getting easier to open a bank account in Luxembourg than it was?
Did you try Raiffeisen?
So, what did I just say? Raiffeisen, yes, indeed.
So if you tried Raiffeisen, then you have the answer on your question.
So it's possible to open a bank account at Raiffeisen?
Sure. If you're a Luxembourg resident, certainly.
What percentage of your clients are Luxembourgish nationals?
Luxembourgish nationals, it's not the same as Luxembourgish residents.
True.
So at the moment, the bank has a substantial number of Luxembourgish residents, but we are looking to diversify and also to look for residents, but from foreign nationality.
Dennis, in your business, have some of the Luxembourg rules and regulations concerning the challenges of opening bank accounts, has that impacted you at all?
It's less impactful in our world, but it's something that clients, I think it's more a question of, especially we deal with a lot of US managers coming to Europe for the first time, it's probably a surprise the amount of friction there is in trying to progress with things as simple as bank account openings, but it's not having, our clients are suffering more direct in their business from it rather than us being impacted by it as a challenge.
Do you think, just generally, is Luxembourg losing its shine as an attractive business destination, do you think, at the moment? Dennis?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it has the challenges associated with success, very high cost housing, very challenging for young people to start careers, probably too much money with old people in rooms like this, and not enough with the younger generation who are going to be starting their careers and get an opportunity. I think sometimes there's a lot of good talk in Luxembourg about how they're going to change some of those, but there is definitely a need to work on something to enable especially younger families to younger people starting careers to get opportunities in Luxembourg. And I think housing and the cost is the fundamental challenge there associated with preventing people from building more. But in terms of as a destination, look, what we do is predominantly either alternative administration or third-party management company services. Luxembourg is still the go-to location for private assets in particular, and will be. And I think,
even though Dublin won on ETFs, didn't they?
Yeah, and we won private assets. I'd prefer to win the private assets battle.
Even though the
one.
corporate tax rate
don't be
in
too
Ireland.
negative, right? I would say that on the ETFs, right? We at Waystone have launched. We have an ETF platform. We've launched 5 ETFs in the last number of months in Luxembourg alone. We're not winning that battle, but I wouldn't say the war is over in terms of ETFs, and Luxembourg, for many ETF structures, will be just as compatible for many clients as Dublin will be.
Loic, same question for you. Does Luxembourg still have its shine as an attractive business destination?
I think so, Jim. And I mean, personally, I've seen a change, for the last, couple of years. I think he's not in the room, but I think we've got, close interaction with the Ministry of Finance. There's a number of things that are currently changing, and in a good way for the insurance market in Luxembourg. So that's very good. And as I mentioned earlier, Luxembourg, with its stability, is still very much a haven for many, let's say, French people, but although, other countries, coming to Luxembourg. So yes.
And Sandrine, I'm going to actually conclude because I'm just about out of time now, but from your perspective, does Luxembourg still have its shine? And is there, we've got quite a few policymakers in the room. Any advice to them about what they can do to make sure that Luxembourg stays attractive?
Well, we have been speaking already enough about regulations and everything. So I think that, yes, it still has its shine, and it's very important to keep the stability and the trust in this country, which is there. And that's the most important point also going forward, and looking also at the neighboring countries around us, where you don't have necessarily this stability and trust anymore in the policymakers, because you mentioned policymakers.
So your buzzword is stability, really. Mm-hmm. Loic, what's your buzzword? Growth. And Dennis, what's your buzzword?
I think for young people, it's affordability.
Affordability. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our panel. Give them a round of applause, please. They did very, very well. Stay right there. Stay right there. Ladies and gentlemen, may I invite you, we're going to have a 20-minute break right now. Drinks will be served, and then can we invite you back, and we will introduce to you the 6 titans of the Luxembourg economy. 20 minutes time. Thank you.